Hey guys, Jay Hoyt here. Before we get into today's video, we tell you guys at the start of every single one of these videos, the vast majority of you guys are not subscribed. So make sure to go down below, hit that subscribe button, turn on those post notifications so you never miss an upload, and don't forget, you can always change your mind later. What's on, guys? Jay Hoyt back with you. Today, welcome back to Call of Duty Vanguard. We're actually here with a new map, Radar. I believe this is a map, I don't remember what game it was, but it's from a former Call of Duty. I do recognize it, I just don't remember where it's from. I don't know if the original name was Radar or not, but I do recognize it. I think it's from like MW3 or 2 or something a little bit old school. But either way, we are back here with our 5th video on our CDL preseason preview. This time we have the Paris Legion and the LA Guerrillas, Los Angeles Guerrillas. We have two teams. Squad wiped everybody, but this time one team made out really well, one team not so much. So let's figure out why these guys are here. So let's start with the Paris Legion roster, consisting of Fire, Classic, Scraps, Aqua, Temp, and Zaptius. So that's throughout the entire year. Obviously, they didn't do too well if they were making roster changes. But, of course, let's start with their placements from last year. Stage 1, they had 4th in groups, 9th, 10th at the major. Stage 2, 5th in groups, 11th, 12th at the major. Stage 3, 6th in groups, 11th, 12th at the major. Stage 4, 4th in groups, 9th, 10th at the major. Stage 5, 6th in groups, 11th, 12th at the major. And they did not attend champs. So they waited till the last second to sign a team. And guess what they got? A team of leftovers. Sound familiar? Well, the last 3 years, well, 2-3 years, they've been doing the same strategy. And for the same way for the last 2 years, and especially once we get into this upcoming year, they wait till the last second, they don't get the talent that's out there, and they don't get anybody wanting to come to this team. Look at the performances of this team. They suck, right? Once you get leftover players and you have like little to no talent on these teams, you got nothing. Like, you really don't. But on to Vanguard, right? They didn't really do too much last year, right? They were at the bottom of the league all year long. I don't remember exactly what place they finished overall, but it was definitely like bottom 3, it was definitely bottom 4. But yeah, they just, nothing really to talk about with their season. Like, nothing really happened. They didn't win anything. They barely made it to, well, to any Saturdays almost. Or, yeah, nothing really notable. I mean, 4th in groups, but that's about it. Like, that's all we can really talk about with them. But once again, one of the last teams to sign a roster, with the exception of OpTic, who was in the middle of their merger with Envious, and then Boston, who is our new CDL team, which we don't really have too much information on just yet. But Boston bought the spot from Envy/OpTic. So what did Paris get after all these rosters were announced? Yet another handful of leftovers. Now, technically, I believe they announced before OpTic did, if I remember correctly. Obviously, the OpTic team was rumored for a long time. But Paris, let's see who they got, right? Maybe I'm wrong, right? Let's see who they got, though. They get Fellow from the Dallas Empire bench as a substitute, who's going to be their main AR. Temp, who bounced around from LA Thieves to Paris, but never really found a consistent starting spot. So I guess he technically stays with Paris, if you will, on that one. You get Decimate, who was technically a free agent, I believe, all year long. He did go to Seattle and New York, both as temporary subs. And then you get John from the LA Thieves. So John, obviously, big notable name in the Call of Duty scene. He's, what, a 1 or 2-time world champion, I believe. You have players here. That's a good sign. You have 4 players, but Fellow's never really done anything. Temp has always had the potential, but just doesn't really go right for him. Decimate, never really been very good. And then John, like I said, he used to be one of the best, arguably the best submachine gun in the game. And then, of course, he has been out for a while. So this will be his first time starting for the most part, with the exception of last year when he came back to Call of Duty. So you don't really know what you're going to get from John. You got a couple, a few players that were basically on the bench last year, and this was a team that you went out and signed. Now, just plain and simply, you could have gotten better players. Like, I know there's some other players that have teams and challengers, but Methods, he would have been a really good AR for this team. Temp, okay, take the chance with Temp, right? He's got the potential. Decimate, I wouldn't have put him in there. TJ Haley, slacked. Classic even had a great end of the last year. I mean, Havoc. I mean, there's a lot of names out there. Maybe some young talent, subs from the amateur scene, challenger scene. Maybe you get that. And then John, maybe giving him a chance to come in here, right? He didn't want to sign with a bad team last year to ruin his stock, but then he comes in this year and signs with a bad team and will probably ruin his stock. So I don't really understand this one, but this team just plain sucks. They wait till the last second once again to pick up players, and what do they get? Leftovers. So what do we predict for this team? Bottom 4 again all year long. Like, arguably the worst team in the CDL right now. Like, and that's not even counting Boston, who doesn't even have a team yet. But from their rumored roster, I think I would put the rumored Boston team above this team. Well, they got some good young talent over there too that's rumored. So I don't know. I feel like bottom 4. I don't feel like they have a chance to jump into the top 4. No chance at top 4. Top 6, unless every other team just sucks. No. Top 8, no. Even top 10, that'd be pushing it. Like, even some teams that are kind of at the later part of the bottom 6, towards the bottom 6. I don't know if this team's going to have it there. Like I said, I think this is probably our worst team that we've had so far. Like, there's so many huge question marks with this team that I don't think they're going to do well, just because of all the top-end talent that is at the top, that's in the top 6, that's in even the top 8. Like, I don't feel like this team is going to do anything. But either way, we move on to our second team that we have in this episode, and that's going to be the Los Angeles Guerrillas. So the team of Vivid, Apathy, Silly Assault, Cheen, and Mental. On this team, right, they were a team that was looking to stir the ashes of the trio that won Call of Duty champs back in Call of Duty World War II, with a bright rising star with them. And what did it do for them? About how you'd expect. A team that got extremely lucky at World War II champs that just didn't turn out well. Now, this is one team that didn't change for most of the year. And even then, it had like a 1-for-1 change at like one random position. Like, I didn't feel like what they did helped them at all, right? They dropped Vivid early on when he was arguably their best player by far. Like, I don't feel like he was the reason they were losing. Then they pick up Cheen in there for a while, and then towards the end of the year, they put Mental in there just to kind of give him a chance. They were terrible, but they were one of the only teams that had an academy roster throughout, I think, the entire year, with some really good young talent on it, but they didn't use it, really. Like I said, they brought in Cheen from their academy roster, they brought in Mental from their academy roster, but the LAG academy roster was actually like performing pretty well and winning stuff, and the young talent on that team was, you should have tried them out at some point. Like, you're not looking too good. Maybe you try one player in for this or a different role, or, you try something, right? You try to win, because not being at champs and just not trying is like, why are you even in this league if you're not trying? But they sucked. I mean, again, similar situation to Paris. That team sucked all year long and did not get better. But on to Call of Duty Vanguard. Like I said, one team got worse. This team got better, and I mean a lot better. I think they finally realized that, like, hey, you got to spend some money in order to get some good players. Like, plain and simple. Like, you have to, and you got to actually sign good talent in order to actually have a chance to win in this league. So they actually tried getting a good roster, and they actually got some pretty damn good players, if you ask me. So we start out with Hook. He comes from LA Thieves, who was kind of in and out of their roster for most of the year. Asim from the New York Subliners. You get Gunless from Seattle. You get Slasher from LA Thieves, who again was in and out of the lineup pretty much all year. Now that they have a chance to win with a good roster, will they? I don't know. But, prediction for this team, they have the talent. They have players that have won before. They seem to have a pretty good roster, right? You have Hook, who should be their main slaying sub. Then you have Asim, who's the route man, the dirty work guy. You have Gunless, who's been a really good flex player his entire career, but always his attitude gets in the way. Then you have Slasher, who wants to win, always. But what will happen with this team? Like, what will happen? I don't know. Can they put it together? Okay, let's figure. I don't think they're bottom 4, so that's top 8 already. Top 6? I think they can fight for top 6. I definitely think they're top 8. And I definitely think this team could upset teams. Like, I feel like we're talking similar to them as like a New York. Like, they have the talent, they have the potential, but can they do it? Like, until we see them play at the kickoff tournament, whenever that, I think that's next month at some point. Until we see them then we'll kind of have a little bit better idea of where these teams are. But right now, I think top 8 for these guys, right? I think there'll be a couple teams that might struggle early on, but then may pick it up at the end of the year. Or teams that come out the gate really hot, but then start to struggle. I'm hoping this team, now that they've signed some talent, I hope this team can actually perform pretty well, right? Because these players have the talent, they have the skill, they have the knowledge, they have the wins under their belt, like they should. There's no reason this team should not win or do quite well, right? They shouldn't. There's be no reason this team is in the bottom 4 at any point throughout the year. Plain and simple, right? There's a clear-cut like bottom 4 teams, but again, we'll have to wait and see how these teams show up at the start of the league. Of course, there's a new format which we'll cover in an upcoming video, but that's going to be it for today's video. Next video, we got a good one. Of course, we might have to wait depending on until Boston actually announces their roster, but it's a good one nonetheless. So that's going to be it for today's video. If you did enjoy, hit that like button down below if you haven't yet, or if you're brand new here, make sure to subscribe, turn those post notifications on so you never miss an upload, and don't forget, you can always change your mind later. But with all that being said, guys, we'll see you in the next one.